What if I told you that two simple words, just two, could completely transform the way women see you, feel about you, and think about you when you're not even in the room? Not a magic trick. Not manipulation. Not some outdated pickup artist strategy that makes you look desperate and foolish. Two real words. Rooted in psychology. Backed by how the female brain actually works. And here's what makes this even more fascinating. The men who already use these words don't even realize they're doing it. It comes naturally to them. And, because of that, women gravitate toward them like a magnet. Women text them first. Women make excuses to spend time with them. Women introduce them to their friends. Now here's the part that's going to shake you a little. Age is not the problem. Looks are not the problem. Money is not the problem. Most men are failing in their interactions with women because of one thing. And one thing only. The way they communicate. Specifically, what they say and what they leave out. And today, I am going to break that down for you completely. Step by step. Word by word. But let me warn you right now, there is a specific detail buried inside this video that most men completely miss. And it is exactly that detail that separates the men women forget the moment they walk out the door from the men women literally cannot stop thinking about. So do not skip ahead. Do not tap away. Stay locked in because what's coming next could genuinely change your life. Let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture. There's a man. Good guy. Decent job. Not bad looking. He meets a woman he genuinely likes. And what does he do? He tries everything. He compliments her constantly. He texts her good morning every single day. He agrees with everything she says. He bends over backwards trying not to say the wrong thing. And yet somehow she loses interest. She pulls away. She tells him, "You're a great guy, but I just don't feel that spark." Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to say out loud. That man was communicating from a place of fear. Every single word he chose was designed to avoid rejection rather than to create connection. And women feel that. They feel it instantly. See, most men were never taught how to communicate with emotional intelligence. They were taught to work hard, stay quiet, provide, and hope that someone notices. And that approach, as noble as it sounds, does absolutely nothing for romantic attraction. What happens instead? Men become people pleasers. They become predictable. They become what I call emotionally invisible. Present in the room but completely absent from her emotional world. And the worst part? The harder they try using this broken approach, the more desperate they appear. The more they push, the further she pulls back. It becomes a painful cycle. But here's what's beautiful about where we are right now in this conversation. You are already doing something different. You are here. You are willing to look at this honestly. You are open to learning what actually works. And what works is not complicated. It is not manipulative. It is not some trick. It is simply this: learning to communicate in a way that reaches her emotionally, deeply, authentically. And it starts with understanding the psychology behind two very specific words. Which brings me to something I need to show you first. But before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome. This channel is dedicated to one thing: giving men real psychological insights about attraction, communication, and what women actually respond to beneath the surface. Not tricks. Not manipulation. Real science. Real results. And if that sounds like something you want more of, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. Because the content coming to this channel in the next few weeks, you do not want to miss it. Some of it will completely rewire the way you think. Now, let's get into it. Here is something that will change how you think about every conversation you ever have with a woman. The human brain does not make decisions based on logic. Not really. Especially not emotional decisions. Not the decision to trust someone. Not the decision to feel attracted to someone. Those decisions happen in a completely different part of the brain, the limbic system. The emotional brain. And the limbic system does not respond to facts. It does not respond to resumes, or achievements, or how many compliments you give. It responds to feelings. Specifically, it responds to how you make someone feel when they are around you. Now here is where language becomes a weapon, and I mean that in the best possible way. Certain words and phrases trigger emotional responses directly. They bypass the logical brain entirely and land straight in the emotional core. Neuroscientists call this emotional priming. I like to call it speaking her language. And the two words I'm about to share with you do exactly that. When used correctly, with the right tone, the right timing, and the right body language, they activate something researchers call emotional anchoring, which means she begins to associate you with positive, powerful emotions. And those emotions become attached to you specifically. That is the difference between a man she thinks is nice and a man she genuinely cannot get out of her head. One more thing before we get into the first word. This is not about manipulation. This is about authenticity. Because here is the irony, the men who use these words most powerfully are the men who mean them. Deeply. Completely. Sincerity is not a weakness. It is actually your most powerful tool. Now, let's talk about the first word. The first word, or phrase rather, is this. I choose. Two words that most men have never once used in a romantic context. And the moment you understand why they work, you will never go back to the way you communicated before. Here's the thing. In today's world, women are surrounded by men who want them. Men who pursue them. Men who compliment them. Men who say, "You're so beautiful. You're so amazing. I'd do anything for you." And while that sounds flattering on the surface, after a while it becomes noise. Why? Because want is passive. Want is about you and your feelings. Want says, "I have a need and you happen to fill it." But choice? Choice is completely different. Choice is active. Choice is intentional. Choice says, out of everything available to me, out of every option, every possibility, I am selecting you. Deliberately. When a man looks at a woman and says, "I choose to spend my time with you," or "I'm choosing to invest in this," or "I want you to know that being here with you is a choice I'm making fully and consciously," something shifts in her mind. She is no longer just someone you stumbled into. She becomes someone you selected. And that distinction changes everything. Here is the psychology behind it. Human beings, all of us, have a deep, fundamental need to feel chosen. Not tolerated. Not convenient. Chosen. It is wired into us from childhood. And when a man speaks in a way that communicates genuine, deliberate choice, it satisfies that need on a level that almost nothing else can. Now let me give you a real example. Two men. Same situation. They are both ending a great evening with a woman they are interested in. Man 1 says, "Tonight was fun. We should hang out again sometime." Man 2 says, "I want you to know I choose moments like this. I don't spend my time with just anyone. Tonight meant something to me." Which man do you think she is going to be thinking about at midnight? Exactly. And notice, man 2 didn't beg. He didn't overcompliment. He didn't perform. He simply stated, with quiet confidence, that she was a conscious choice. That is masculine emotional intelligence at its finest. Now here's what I need you to hold on to before I give you the second word, because what I'm about to reveal next is the piece that makes "I choose" 10 times more powerful. Don't go anywhere. I know what some of you are thinking right now. This sounds good in theory, but does it actually work in real life? I hear you. And I promise you, by the time this video is over, you are going to have a full, practical framework that you can use in real conversations. Not someday. Tonight if you wanted to. But I need you to stay with me because the second word I'm about to share is the one that most men skip. And skipping it is exactly why so many men get so close. And then watch the connection fall apart. There is also a critical mistake, one specific error, that completely destroys everything I just taught you about, I choose. And if you don't know what it is, you'll make it without even realizing it. That's coming up right after the second word. Stay in. The second word or phrase is this. I notice. And this one, my friend, is where the real magic lives. Here's why. Every woman, regardless of age, background, or personality, has a deep desire to be truly seen. Not seen for her appearance. Not noticed for what she does for others. But genuinely seen for who she is. Her patterns. Her quirks. Her way of thinking. Her energy. And most men, even well-intentioned men, miss this completely. They focus on the surface. They say things like, "You're beautiful. You're funny. You're great." Lovely words. But they're generic. Any woman could receive those words. They don't feel personal. They don't feel like discovery. But I notice is different. I notice communicates something extraordinary. It says, I am paying attention to you specifically. I am watching the details. I see things about you that you may not even see about yourself. That is a completely different emotional experience. Let me show you the difference. Generic, you're really confident. Powerful, I notice that when you walk into a room, you don't look for anyone's approval. There's a quiet certainty about you. That's rare. Generic. You're kind. Powerful, I notice that when you talk about people you love, your whole face changes. That kind of depth doesn't come from everywhere. Do you feel the difference? One is a label. The other is a revelation. One makes her feel described. The other makes her feel discovered. And when a woman feels discovered, truly, specifically, deeply noticed, she opens up. She lowers her guard. She becomes emotionally present in a way that no compliment about her appearance could ever achieve. Here is the key though. I notice only works if it is genuine. If you are manufacturing observations to impress her, she will feel it. And it will backfire badly. But if you are actually paying attention, if you are genuinely curious about who this woman is, then I notice becomes one of the most powerful phrases in your entire communication arsenal. Start practicing this. In your next conversation, instead of defaulting to compliments, shift into observation. Notice something specific. Name it. Speak it out loud. Watch what happens to the energy between you. And now, I need to talk about the mistake. Because there is one error that will make everything I just taught you completely useless. Here it is. The mistake that ruins everything. Using these phrases without congruence. Now let me explain what congruence means, because this word is absolutely critical. Congruence is when your words, your body language, your tone of voice, and your energy are all saying the exact same thing at the exact same time. When they are all aligned. When the outside matches the inside. Here is what happens when they don't match. You say, I choose you, but your shoulders are caved in. You're avoiding eye contact. Your voice is low and hesitant. And what does she hear? Not the words. She hears the energy. She hears the insecurity underneath. And her emotional brain, which is incredibly sensitive to these inconsistencies, immediately sends her a signal that something is off. Women are not being difficult when this happens. They are being human. We all read emotional signals whether we realize it or not. But women, in particular, are extraordinarily tuned into this frequency. Think of it this way. You can wrap a gift in the most beautiful paper. But if what's inside doesn't match the packaging, the whole thing feels like a lie. The words are the packaging. Your energy is what's inside. So before you ever speak these phrases, check yourself. Are you standing in your power? Are you grounded? Are you speaking from a place of genuine confidence or from a place of needing her approval? Because she will know. Every single time. Fix the inside first. And the words will carry the weight they were designed to carry. So how do you actually build that congruence? Let's make this practical. First, your posture. This is non-negotiable. When you speak to a woman, especially when you are using intentional, emotionally charged language, your body must be open. Shoulders back. Chest forward. Head level. Not puffed up. Not performative. Just grounded. Present. Your body communicates before your mouth opens. Make sure it's saying the right thing. Second, your eye contact. This is where most men fall apart. Either they stare too intensely and it becomes uncomfortable, or they look away the moment things get real and emotionally vulnerable. Neither works. The sweet spot is steady, warm eye contact. The kind that says, I am here. I am not afraid of this moment. I am not afraid of you seeing me. Practice holding eye contact just a beat longer than feels comfortable. That extra second is where trust is built. Third, your voice. Slow down. I mean it. When men get nervous, they speed up. They fill silence with words. They rush through the important moments as if staying too long in vulnerability will somehow hurt them. But slowing down is an act of power. When you pause before saying something meaningful, when you lower your voice just slightly, when you let the silence breathe, you communicate that you are a man who is comfortable in emotional depth. That is deeply attractive. Fourth, and this is the one people never talk about, your stillness. Men who fidget, who look around, who shift their weight constantly while speaking are unconsciously signaling anxiety. Practice being still. Let your presence fill the space without noise or movement. Put all of these together, posture, eye contact, voice, stillness, and suddenly I notice and I choose don't just sound good. They land. Deeply. Unforgettably. Now let's talk about when to use this. Because timing is everything. You do not drop I choose or I notice in the first 5 minutes of meeting someone. That would feel strange. Forced. Too heavy for the moment. These phrases belong to moments of emotional warmth. Moments when the conversation has already opened up. When there is already a real exchange happening. When the energy between you is genuine. The end of a first date. The moment a conversation gets unexpectedly deep. A quiet moment when the noise of the world fades and it's just the two of you. That is when you slow down. That is when you make eye contact. That is when you say, I want you to know I notice the way you think. And I choose to pay attention to that. Simple. Powerful. Real. You are not performing. You are not following a script. You are communicating with intention. With depth. With the kind of masculine emotional clarity that most women have been waiting their whole lives to experience. Use it once. Genuinely. And watch it create a moment she will carry with her long after the evening ends. And there you have it. 2 phrases. I choose. I notice. Used with congruence, with timing, with genuine intention, these are not just words. They are emotional keys. And now they are yours. Remember this. Attraction is not about being perfect. It is about being present. It is about having the courage to communicate from a real place. A deep place. A place most men never dare to go. That is what makes you unforgettable. That is what separates the men she forgets from the men she cannot stop thinking about. You now know the difference. The only question is, will you use it? Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it.